Okay, so I just watched Infinity War and um it was definitely different. It was better than Endgame and wasn't as boring, but they focused on Iron Man and Doctor Strange for a while. And then they're just like, "You know what? Well, let's go to the Guardians of the Galaxy for absolutely no reason at all besides the setup stuff for 30 minutes." I think Doctor Strange getting kidnapped is more important than the Guardians of the Galaxy meeting Thor. That's just my opinion. Um, the whole Scarlet Witch and Vision dating thing was weird because they didn't date in Civil War. Then we jumped to Infinity War and they're dating. I mean, we had a few other movies, but Scarlet Witch and Vision were not in any of the other MCU movies we got after Civil War. So they're just dating now and he can become a human. Well, he said something about phasing, so it's like an illusion or something. But I've never seen Vision do that in the comics before. So it was different. Um, I can't believe Nebula would tell Star-Lord what happened to Gamora. That was just like really stupid. It was like she wanted the plan to mess up. Um, I forget what her name is, but I love the scene when Scarlet Witch comes and starts kicking ass, and then the one girl says, um, Why wasn't she with us the whole time?" And I love how Proxima lied to them and said Corvus was dead, just so they could get Corvus into the place, because it was unprotected besides Shiri and a few people. And Scarlet Witch. They were just waiting for Scarlet Witch to leave. I didn't really like the scene where like Thanos is completely destroying Iron Man's helmet over and over and it just keeps coming back. I get like how the suit could probably regenerate, but they don't explain the suit at all. It just happens. It's just there. Because his last suit was in Civil War and that was not the suit he had. But he just gets this suit out of nowhere and it can regenerate and they don't explain it. Thanos punches him. The whole helmet breaks and it comes back. The whole helmet breaks over and over again. And it keeps coming back. I get if it's like half of it's broken and then it grows back, but it's just there. Also, like Team Groot cutting off his arm, that was different because in Guardians of the Galaxy 1, Gamora cuts it off. And then it's still growing back when he's in the interview in prison. But in this one, it's immediately grown back after like a minute. And I didn't really like how they introduced that one dwarf guy and tried to act as if Thor already knew him. I get how he made like Thor's weapon and stuff, but they couldn't have just put him in one Thor movie for a little bit. Um, what else do I gotta say about this movie? I like how Ross was in it, but he didn't really do anything. I want Red Hulk already. Why can't Ross turn into Red Hulk already? And I need to rewatch The Incredible Hulk, because the last time I watched that was when I was little. So I want to see if that still holds up. Wong was probably the most OP character in the movie, because he just cut off Cole's hand easily, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go protect the Sanctum Sanctorum now. Like, nobody else could do that. Like, wasn't there a bunch of people training and stuff? And I hate how they set up Baron Mordo and Doctor Strange, but we still haven't had anything happen with that. I mean, they could probably have had him in Infinity War, and he could have been the one protecting the Sanctum Sanctorum, and then Wong could have been fighting with everybody. And I like how, like, most of the people, when he snaps his fingers, just, like, one person dies, and there's two people, like War Machine and Falcon, Black Panther, and what's her face? I just can't remember her name. And Captain America and Winter Soldier, and then one of them dies, and then in the scene with Iron Man, it's just like, oh hey, Spider-Man's dead, Drax is dead, Mantis is dead, Star-Lord is dead, and Nebula and you are the only one alive. No, oh, Doctor Strange is dead too. And Groot was like the least likable character in this movie, besides Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Like, he just plays his video game, and then you're like, you know what, we gotta make him heroic. We gotta make him heroic before we kill him off, okay? He's gonna sacrifice his arm to make the thing, and then he's actually gonna start kicking ass, okay? He's not gonna just play the video game for the whole movie. The movie's almost over. We gotta make him heroic. Come on, we gotta make the scene sad. Come on, hurry up. And then they kill off Groot. And I've never really liked Black Widow. And she didn't really do much in this movie. The whole order didn't really do much. They just got killed off pretty easily. Ebony was probably the one who did the best. Got the most screen time and stuff. And the Hulkbuster suit is so ugly in this movie. It looked great in Age of Ultron, but it really downgraded. And for a movie that's supposed to be like the end of the world, they still decided to make a lot of jokes. I get it's the MCU, but it could have toned down on the jokes, especially since it's a super long movie. And if Quicksilver was alive, this movie probably would have went a lot better. Not huge bit better, but better. Like the scene where Corvus stabs Vision in the back. He could just go super fast towards him, punch him and knock him down, then grab Vision and run. And my favorite part was probably how that they actually went off after Thor Ragnarok, because Hulk, Thor, Loki, and Heimdall were all together, which was like the last part of Thor Ragnarok. And that's why the Avengers weren't there, which made sense. Although what doesn't make sense is how Thanos kicked Hulk's ass, but then Captain America actually holds his own against him for a little bit. I want a solo Hawkeye movie or Hulk movie already. They're working like a Hawkeye series, so. What else can I say about this movie? I think I already said about how they jumped around a lot. Probably did. And Gamora, like seriously, Thanos gets like super close to the edge of the cliff and she doesn't even like try and push him, catch him off guard. I'm pretty sure he has the time stone at that point. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does. But she doesn't like push him or anything. And the scene where she realized Thanos is about to kill her, she's like, oh, crying, who for? And then Red Skull's like, oh, the tears aren't for you. Aren't for him, I mean. And then she just starts slowly backing up. And she doesn't run or anything. Instead, she tries to stab herself, and Thanos just does the bubbles thing. She should have just ran and did that. Last I know, Thanos doesn't have, like, powers to grab her from thin air. He can't just stop her in her tracks and bring him to her. He would have to run after her and grab her. So she could just, like, run and slit her throat or something. And get in a good hiding spot. So she can die before he can do anything. What I didn't like was how they referenced why Ant-Man wasn't in the movie, but they didn't reference why Hawkeye wasn't. They go, yeah, Ant-Man's under house arrest, but nobody talks about Hawkeye, who was a pretty big part of Civil War, and they're not like, Oh, he could help. Nope, he can't. If they think Black Widow is gonna help, they should think Hawkeye could help. And I know why he can't be in this movie, because he was in Tag and he hurt his arm in it. But they could have referenced why he wasn't in it, like, just said something. They said why Ant-Man wasn't. They should have said Hawkeye's still in prison. Or something. Because Hulk doesn't know where the hell he is, because last movie he was in was Thor Ragnarok. And Age of Ultron was the last time he saw Hawkeye. So yeah, he doesn't know anything about Hawkeye. You would think he would ask. This was a pretty good movie. It was better than Endgame. Endgame was boring as hell. But this still isn't like a movie I would recommend. Because I only have like 5 MCU movies that I would recommend. Doctor Strange was great in this movie, though. What I love is how they try and say, oh, they only win 1 out of 14 million fights. Just to try and make Thanos look like a badass. And so fans can't complain and say they could have did this to make it win. To make it work. They can't just say, oh, they could have won this way. Because nope, it never happens in an alternate timeline. Never works. They really wanted to make sure the fans couldn't complain. So yeah, this was a pretty decent movie. And it was not a movie that I wouldn't watch. I don't regret watching it. It was decent. Bucky was hardly in it, so his death didn't feel that much to me. Especially since they never set up Bucky. They gave us a little bit of him in Captain America 1, but not that much. But yeah, this was a pretty good movie. I don't like how Wong's on the poster, though, even though he barely had any screen time. And Collector was probably my favorite part of this movie. He could kick Thanos' ass, but this movie doesn't want to talk about that. Because Collector is an elder god. He's a badass. He could do it. Oh, I'm thinking of Mortal Kombat, aren't I, with Elder God? I'm pretty sure he's just like an elder. He's kicked people's ass on the comics all the time. Collector's a badass, and he's only been in 3 movies, and all of them were short. Short stands. Well, they gave Grandmaster a decent amount of screen time, which makes me mad. I love the magnificent scene with Collector. So yeah, that's basically all I have to say about this movie, though.